All right, we should be multicasting here to Twitter, the Garage Poets Facebook, the Word is Right Facebook page, and the Word is Right YouTube page. We should be multiply casting to all of these locations here right now. So let me get. All right, so Kit Wren's work has appeared in journals and anthologies such as Life in the Time, Chismosa, and the Barrio Panther literature. Sorry, my the lighting here is messed up. Literatura. Since moving back to El Paso in 2014, he has been active in the local literary scene, serving as co-producer for the Barbed Wire Open Mic Stay at Home Open Mic series. Kit is director and the coordinator of the Tumblewords Workshop, as well as frequent presenter of workshops. During his time studying English literature at the University of North Texas, he was nominated for an award for achievement in short fiction. His independent blog about the history of American football can be found at kofi.com, Kit Wren. That's coffee.com/Kit Wren. And now, if everybody would unmute themselves and put their hands together for Kit Wren, we will welcome him to the mic.
Welcome, Kit. Looking forward to hearing you.
And thank you very much. I appreciate it all. I appreciate Jeff for the invite. Let me set a timer so I don't take advantage of y'all. And we're gonna go. I wish to relieve one pressure that you have felt and replace it immediately with another. Do not worry about first impressions. The first impression is nothing. It is easily overridden and constantly amended, often forgotten entirely. Much more important is the 0th impression. You have no control over the 0th impression. You have no way to influence it or to even access it. It is being made right now independently in places that you have never even driven through. You see, as friends tell new friends of old friends, these new friends must depend on imagination and stock images to complete the story themselves. You are a placeholder name in so many stories. There are mental images of you based off absolutely no evidence. People you have never met have strong and inflexible opinions about you and what you should have done that one time. One day you will meet someone who knows of you only from a bystander's account of the worst day of your life. If he or she makes the connection, they will be close to starstruck, trying to reconcile the physical facts with their own understanding. You must see, they have carried this cartoon of you, this caricature from a tourist trap, for a long time. It has been rolled up, put in moving boxes, and subsequently unpacked in new domiciles. They may have even added their own twist to the story. It is their story now. You are now the protagonist of a modern urban legend. Do not fight against the 0th impression. Do not dwell on it. Don't justify yourself. Don't try to give context. Do your best to see the honor and not the offense. While no one can be all things to all people, you may find that, thanks to the 0th impression, being many things to enough people is astoundingly easy. And I'm not good at transitions, but that was the end of that piece, and this is the beginning of this piece. It's a very functional transition, I suppose. I have a confession disguised as a question. Has the desert spoiled all other outdoors for you too? Do forests seem to you a claustrophobic compromise between the indoors and the outdoors, unsatisfying, as most compromises are? How can this actually be outside if I can't see the entire sky? Does the ocean seem showy and excessive, gaudy like plastic jewelry on an otherwise fine hand? To have all this undrinkable water feels like someone made a mistake, but didn't care enough to correct it. We are a dry land, but what we find is potable. Did the hill country underwhelm you too? Were you tempted to laugh at all the hill people who went around instead of over and through? They would think us mad, but I will never make the mistake of caring what they think again. Does every green field, no matter how wild, take on the manicured unreality of a golf course? I am tired, friend, of this world of driving ranges. You and I will spread our picnic blanket in the sand trap and throw back every Titleist that blunders in. I should title these just so I have something to talk about before I start. Something to think about. Concreteness, as it is commonly used in this field, is an abstraction. It makes no distinction between carpet or tile, between yellow or green grass. These concrete details are to be used, says the professor, to create a real feeling in the reader. Whatever that means. This authenticity is the goal. Even though every tool in our toolbox is fictive, the reader too is fictive. His crying produces neither sound nor lacrimony. Her laughter stops with her and does not ripple through her neighbors. We imagine them as strangers that we will compel by sheer magnetism to become friends. In the pursuit of these new friends, plans with old friends are rescheduled. As we catalog the verdant fields our love and we walk through, the lawn grows sick and undisciplined, and our love disorderly. And so poetry is feared rather than consumed. The passers-by salute it like a flag, but do not pay taxes. It is invoked like magic or violence in place of itself, as a threat or a vague and vast gesture of praise. And the poet, well, I have no complaints. These people treat me well. But when they discover I am a man who cannot and would not grant wishes, I fear that they will feel lied to. And I have somewhat of a reputation locally for picking fights with certain offenders in the stand-up comedy scene. And I have earned that reputation, although the ones who get it are cool with me. So, but this is a poem where I sort of poke fun at myself and my need to cause problems on purpose. The comedians have renounced raunch and transphobia and hatred in general. They have seen their folly, they tell me. They credit me for their Damascene moment. They line up and say sorry and thank you as if it is all one word, a chant for newly shaved Hare Krishnas. They have set up this event, the first of its kind post-pandemic, to prove their sincerity to me. One approaches the mic, and then another. They are all reading aloud from the same worn copy of Capitalism and Schizophrenia by Gilles Deleuze. They pass the one copy between themselves as they all take their turn, going for exactly 7 minutes each. It has a used tag from a college bookstore, the University of Vermont. Charlie the Catamount is just barely smiling at me from the crinkled sticker on the spine. Their faces as they perform are intense, and as the others sit and watch, they are rapt. One is taking notes. My companion and I retreat to the patio, and by his leave, I smoke my first cigarette in 2 years. One by one, the comedians follow me out, eager and pleading like seminary students. Is this better? Are we better now, kid? Have we made up for our sins and our wayward lives? The truth is, I don't know. The truth is, I thought that I would always have to fight the comedians over saying one awful thing or another. I viewed it as a responsibility that I had to the scene. And the truth is, I have a middle management bred paranoia about what it means when a responsibility is taken away. The truth is, I liked to fight against the comedians so much that I never gave a thought to what victory would look like. The truth is, I confess to the one with the notebook, I haven't read very much theory. Once I read that at an open mic, and a comedian had to follow that, and they were like, well, damn, I don't feel like I want to say nothing now. One of my favorite recent moments. And when Jeff reached out to me to feature here, he cited this poem as his favorite, so it'd be rude if I left it out. So here we go. And there it is. And I titled this Middle Management. The I of the poem is not I, but he often resembles me. The I of the poem speaks in my diction and preoccupies himself with my concerns. I do not know if this makes him my employee or my son. Or maybe a plant sprouted from a trimming. When they complain about their circumstances, I do not know if they do so with the helpless wail of a skinned knee or the veiled threat of unionization. When they fail in front of a live audience, sometimes I am vengeful and protective like a mother bear. Other times, I am disappointed and grim and inform them that they have been reassigned. In a couple cases, let go altogether. A lovelorn I has requested a meeting. He has a list of demands. He is much more handsome than me, which makes his lovelornness inexplicable and cruel and artistically interesting. His first demand is just the word unfair in all capital letters. He is tired of being the Greek on the Ern Keats saw, chasing and not catching, drinking and never drunk. He notes that I have no other poems in this emotional register. This is also unfair. This is too much pressure. And anyway, he thought I hated Keats. I love Jack Keats. I don't know where he got that idea. Wordsworth is the one I hate. He wants a better ending. Poems never end, I say. He shrieks in frustration. Not another damn koan. I just want some fucking say in the things that I'm supposed to have done. It sounds reasonable. But plenty of actual people have the same complaint. This is supposed to be about them in the end, right? Not us. A poem isn't a way around or out of life. I lecture the lovelorn one. I put a fatherly hand on his shoulder. He doesn't like it, but he's too weak to shake it off. It has to be weathered, just like everything else. I shove him towards the door. He leaves as miserable as he's ever looked. And I created him to be miserable. The eyes of my poems are talking amongst themselves. They are restless and stubborn. They are not staying within their lines and themes. They are comparing salaries. I do not know if they are my employees or my children, but they are definitely not plants. And both fathers and bosses know that the revolution always comes. I'm doing good for time. Can chance it longer.
Man, I love that line. I don't know if that makes him my employee or my son. That stuck with me for like 2 weeks. I love that line.
Because it's because I don't know either. It's a question where there's arguments on both sides. Okay, this is a longer, fairly recent one. I'll do this one and then the cover poem, and then I'll sit back and listen to you nice people. On our way to Las Cruces, we see a billboard for The Thing. I've heard of it, but never been. It's a roadside gimmick outside of Tucson. A friend got me a t-shirt with an alien riding a dinosaur. It calls itself a museum, but it doesn't seem to have much educational value. But I'd still like to go. I can sympathize, I think, with the gray landing in a new place and making do, bridling whatever he thinks will move fastest. Maybe one day we'll road trip there, but not soon. The days here are packed. When I was young, my parents liked to joke with me that we were aliens. They would make odd statements about our mission and cryptic references to a home planet. They stopped when I was 6, when I broke down crying, saying, "Stop it. It isn't true. I'm from here. I'm from Earth." They thought I was in on the joke, that they were having a good time with their precocious son, who was odd in the ways they had hoped for. They hadn't stopped and thought about how horrifying it would be to introduce the idea that home was a place that you had never seen and that you would likely never see. Artists together in trusted pairs or in circles can't wait to tell each other how they fucked up. So as we drive down the windy New Mexico backroads shadowed by the illusory tunnels of groves of pistachio trees, she tells me how she jumped her cue. I didn't notice. I'm enraptured with the symphony, suddenly and totally, but my Philistine ears can't tell the Russians from the Germans. And I hope my ignorance is a reassurance to her. We're looking for a restaurant she remembers and has been dreaming of for 20 years. Every post office and church we see marks a new town or a new saint, sometimes contradictory. We speculate on the abandoned buildings, the homes that used to sell mufflers, the slanted windows, and other mutations that take hold with no inspectors to satisfy, or trends to follow, or friends to confess to. When people ask me where I would like to travel, I struggle to answer them. I have people that I would like to visit, but that's not what you asked, is it? We find the restaurant, but it's closed. It's enough for her spirit to know that it's still there and remains an option on days when we are more timely. The bar, anyway, is still open. They serve us and then tell the people after us that it's last call. So clearly, we meet some standard of belonging. They gave us another round, even after last call turned to closed. We've done this secret handshake so well that it remains a secret even to us. A loud woman at the bar is disparaging our favorite football players, but we don't want to risk anything. There's no need to alienate our new best friends. By the time we get back to Texas, she is forcefully declaiming about the beauty of the desert, how the sun sets the mountains on fire, mountains that have never been this green before. She tells me that it's just like the poem I wrote. Exactly like that. It pops in her head all the time. Would I sound modest or mystic if I told her that I have no idea how I wrote that? How it's so unlike anything else I've written that it must be true. How The last time I told myself I might be in love, dozens of other neurons responded in annoyance, as if a rooster or two tomcats had woken them up and said, "Don't do this. Don't turn this into something we can lose." It pleases me to think of the place I would choose to live, choosing me back, of becoming a tribune for the jackrabbits, arroyos, and coyotes. Maybe in one of these riverbeds, there is an embedded crass saucer awaiting my palm print to authorize repair. But if I never find it, I'll be fine. I might not belong here, but the bouncers know me. And I'm not sure if I belong anywhere. It might as well be here. And something I like to do, we've turned it into a little bit of tradition in my little corner of the internet at the Barbed Wire Open Mic series, is I like to close my sets with what I call a cover poem. Just something by someone else that I think needs more eyes on it. I think we have a couple of musicians in the crowd, so I think it lends itself to understanding. But tonight I want to close with I Imagine the Gods by Jack Gilbert. I imagine the gods saying, "We will make it up to you. We will give you 3 wishes," they say. "Let me see the squirrels again," I tell them. "Let me eat some of the great hog stuffed and roasted on its giant spit and put out steaming into the winter of my neighborhood, when I was usually too broke to afford even the 100 grams I ate so happily, walking up the cobbles past the street of the moon and the street of the bird cage makers and the street of silence and the street of the little pissing. We can give you wisdom," they say in their rich voices. "Let me go at last to Huguette," I say, the Algerian student with her huge eyes who timidly invited me to her room when I was too young and bewildered that first year in Paris. "Let me at least fail at my life. Think," they say patiently, "we could make you famous again. Let me fall in love one last time," I beg them. "Teach me mortality, frighten me into the present, help me to find the heft of these days, that the night will be full enough and my heart feral." And that's all I have for my feature. I'll move smoothly into the long list of things to plug. First off, something that is actually something with my friends, but the freedom of movement is a fundamental human right as recognized by the United Nations, and horrifying Trump policies are calcifying and rotting into place and becoming something that people think they can't do anything about. And we can do something about it. 2 of my friends are on the board of Justice for Our Neighbors, which is a 501c3 sponsored by the United Methodist Church that is providing legal services to asylum seekers in the El Paso area. If you have a little spare cash, I'd consider giving it to them. If you want to keep following me on the internet, I have an Instagram at Kit Runaway. I have a Twitter at Kit Talk Sports, where it's understandably a little different. We mentioned the football blog, which updates Monday mornings with a look back at a game that represents a crossroads in history, even though it didn't seem like that at the time. It's easy enough to find me on Facebook. There's only like 2 other Kit Wrens, and one of them is like a grandmother. That's obviously not me. Any sort of normal communication can go to my email. You can also put that into PayPal. That's what you want to do. And also, I am with the death of our founder, Donna Snyder, it's fallen to me to be the director and coordinator of the Tumblewords Project, which is a free writing workshop every Saturday afternoon, 1 to 3 Mountain Time. That's 3 to 5 Boston time, with a rotating series of presenters, not professors, although tomorrow's speaker, Heather Franklin, is a professor at Western New Mexico University in the neighboring Silver City. So if you want into that, message me for the Lincoln room code and I will give it to you. Thanks again so much for the space and the time and for the other dimensions as well. And I'll hand the talking stick back to our host.
Thank you, Kit. That was a really awesome feature. I appreciate you doing the poem that I mentioned. It was a treat to have you read it here at the Garage Poets and streamed to our online audience. I'm glad to hear that Tumble Words Project will be continuing, and definitely people have time on Saturdays. That is definitely well worth it. I really like that you have to read what you were able to write. I like that you can't just sit back and be like a non-participant. You really have to be like an active participant of the workshop. I feel like that keeps the workshop fresh and pushing people to make get great material. So yeah, I appreciate that about it. Definitely tip your artists. So send some money to PayPal or to any of these great organizations that Kit mentioned. And we'll have the open mic coming right up. Thanks a lot, Kit. Looks like first up on the open mic is Vale, and then on deck is Chris Moore.
Oh, I was not expecting to be first. I apologize. This is my first time here. How long do I have?
Oh yeah, so what we normally do is we have a couple rounds, and we do 4 minutes per round, or 2 poems, whichever comes first.
Cool. I have a sequence. Could I read like 2 pieces and then 2 pieces in the next round or something?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool.
So the first round is streamed. The second round is not streamed. So I don't know if that matters to you as far as which ones you want to read when.
Trying to think here. No, it's a sequence that goes in order, so I'll just read it in order. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just bringing it up because again, was not expecting to be first.
No, that's all right. We just kind of jumped right into the open.
Oh yeah, it's my fault. Do you want to move on to the next person and then come back to me since I didn't have mine brought up? It's up to you.
You know, yeah,
I'm about 2 seconds away from it now.
Why don't we'll stick with you? I
Okay.
feel like that we can stick with you, and everybody will be happy that we did.
This is a sequence in 4 parts. I'll read the first 2. Exoplanet. 1. I am so lost here in this meat, and I can't tell if it's holding us up or holding us back. I can't tell what's real in this soup. Mind-melding gut bacteria, hormone profiles, mirror neurons, a fungus that takes over your brain? Reality is teeming with potential, seething, swarming with options and possibilities. I don't know if I could even imagine anything beyond these bone-bound oubliettes we find ourselves in. I imagine nonsense, feeling without juice, thought without salt, life without meat, a disembodied, infinitely malleable awareness. If I can follow every last spark of sensation to its nerve-laced origin, what do ghosts know with? How do they feel? Where does their love live? 2. I find here myself. I find here at the center the string and slime and congealed grit of me. I find biological agents of order and change, shelter and love. I find every drop of passion running through blood, lymph, cerebrospinal fluid teeming with proteins and antagonists. Here is a memory made of acid and oil. Here is joy, an astronaut, flying from dendrite to dendrite, faith in the void and velocity. Here is the definition of serendipitous, arrayed in all its molecular whimsy. Here is the faintest trace of madness and caffeine. Where is art? Is all creation only synthesis? How is imagination? Thank you.
Thank you. Vale, is it? I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Wonderful poems. I really thank you for coming to the Garage Poets, and I hope you come back. We're here every Friday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Daylight Time, depending on. But yeah, and then Christopher Moore is coming up, and then Ethan is on deck. Take the mic, Christopher.
Okay, just let me turn my camera off so I can find a poem. Bring up the document. Okay, I wrote this one a few days ago. Advent of realization. It is rare that I get eureka moments, but when a pattern keeps repeating itself, how many times do I have to be hit on the head until I finally discover who is hitting me? Those claiming royal titles inside my heart will only be proclaimed the Duchess of Despair upon the very rubble that occurs when I decide to have a civil war with myself yet again. How many times can I be reconstructed, though, if it just ends up happening again? That's the only one I have tonight, Jeff.
Thank you, Chris. Or at least that's the non-conspiracy themed poem. You'll be revealing the secrets in round 2.
Hint is about a platypus.
I see in the chat here that Ethan is gonna wait for round 2. So we will move along to Rich. Rich will take the mic, and then Shockey is on deck.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. And thanks also to our feature, Kit. Good to hear you and hear your work tonight. First poem is brand new. And this is called Birthday. When you said I was born too late to be on Gilligan's Island, but just in time to meet my own mother and discover what it means to love someone who made you, it wasn't you, but a siren I was hearing through a cloud of special and ubiquitous, absent black smoke, the next pope of my sadness being announced in Latin to the world. When you said I was born just in time to meet my mother, I was holding the car keys for dear life, trying to figure out if there was any way a person could just drive away from a conversation that doesn't feel good, that feels like madness is just outside the door. And if God was real, she would have been the only one who could calm me down then. When you said I was born too late to understand why Gilligan's Island was both ridiculous and beloved, but just in time to hear my own mother crying because she could finally see me, there was literally nothing I could say to make the world less insane right then. And when you said I was born 4 years too late to be born 4 years earlier, but just in time to start crying in a strange room with my mother and a doctor, it felt like you were just reading this from some mildewy Bible found underneath a mattress in some abandoned home for wayward success stories. And when you told me I was born on time, the only thing between us was a galaxy of twinkling afternoon dust motes roiling there in the God rays. And just then, I could feel your words metastasizing from my mind to my heart and back again, the Richter scale emotions ricocheting around inside, your words a whisper the size of a nascent tornado overhead. And that's how come I know now that I was only ever strong when I was younger sometimes. The day I held my sweet Wendy when she cried in my arms at the funeral of our friend Deanna, who took her own life that dark freshman year. The day I let her tears mix with the salt in mine until we'd wept enough to fill a shot glass with the holy water that was our pain. And you said I was born just in time to discover that my mother's weeping and mine were pitch perfect together. And maybe let's just say in response that I hope your next birthday will be at least as good as your funeral. A beautiful place full of men and women all in black who know what they have to do and don't know what to do. And I hope that one day you'll find the perfect padded cell for yourself, bigger than anyone else's padded cell in this country. Find one for me too. And let's just say that I wish that maybe one day I'll figure out that I don't always need to treat silence like a sickness, that it's okay to set the pain of being alive loose to run around wherever it wants to once in a while.
Hey, thanks, Rich. Wow.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you here. Thanks very much for stopping by again tonight.
Thank you. I gather I don't need to mention aloud that I'd like to be in the second half. That's, I gather.
Yeah, definitely. Just keep, as long as you don't click out of the meeting, then I'll assume that you at least are going to listen to the second half. So next up on the mic, we have Shocky, and then Mark is on deck.
Alrighty, I like those pieces. That piece, Rich, was amazing. All right, I have two pieces. First one is called Daddy's Girl. You might have heard it before, sorry. In the memory of you, there is a little girl's bedroom. White walls with pink wallpaper, complete with pink toy chests at the foot of a canopy bed. A promise lingers in the air. You capture it, hold it on your tongue, say this is how a princess should live. I remember. Wish I didn't. Later, those words would cut like daggers in the night sky. Am I no longer the princess you coronated on that day? Daddy's girl whisked away to a dungeon for her safety. Wonder if my locks grew long enough, would you rescue me? I'd like to believe you died fighting the strongest battles in the kingdom, slaying dragons or slashing demons. Does an orphaned princess still become queen? Or do they pick up your sword and call themselves king to prove they could replace you? Be all the man you never got to be, the knight in dulled armor. Once, I remember I was a daddy's girl, but too soon I became a girl daddyless. I know once another man tried, but his kingdom was more prison walls than castle, no pink decorations, just concrete walls and cold hearts. In the memory of you, there is a long embrace and a short goodbye, and somewhere in between was daddy's little girl, a doe-eyed princess. And this other one is a new piece. It's called Sunday Dinner. These days I miss Sunday dinner, the one that mama made and everyone showed up. The best dishes and the worst conversations, the grown folks' business we waited years to hear. At the center of the table is more than slaughtered livestock, a piece of mama's heart, a soul of a woman warm to the touch. Now, Sunday dinners are lonely nights, just takeout boxes, prayers replaced by fortune cookie sayings. I pretend I miss the food, like it's some kind of hunger I cannot quench. But really, I just miss mama, as if her life was sustaining, used to get full on a love I have not known since. Soul food, they call it. But when the soul is gone, you lose it all. The centerpiece, the chairs, the fairy tale of family, all held together with Laurie's and Pepper. These days, I miss that Sunday dinner.
Thank you, Shocky. Always glad to have you here.
Thank you. Look at the filter. You gotta sing "Take Me On" now. Take
Take on me.
on
Take on me. I'll be gone. That's my worst right there. So up on the mic we have Mark, and then will be me.
Time stands still sometimes because it's waiting for us to walk up to it and take a selfie with it. Time has an ego too and wants its special moments shared, but lacks the hands to hold the camera now that most clocks and watches are digital. Old-fashioned clocks have run out of their time. Time stands still sometimes because it too wants to wake up and smell the coffee. Time will stand behind you in line at Starbucks. From over your shoulder, peruse the word soup menu and tick, tick, tick. Its impatience along with you as the front of the line customer finally settles on chocolate cookie crumble cream frappuccino, but then insists that it gets mixed with the vanilla bean cream frappuccino and the strawberry cream frappuccino, just so the customer at the front of the line can have a true Neapolitan experience. Time will agree with you that this time in this line is a monumental waste of time, as long as you call it Siri first and ask very politely. Time stands still sometimes because it's upset that you're wasting it. So time puts you in a corner on a 5-minute timeout, punishing you with silence and forcing you to listen to your own heartbeats as body tightens with dramatic tension and ringing ears. Your brain attempts to fill in this empty space with regrets that taste like bleach, burning but never cleaning your insides. Time much prefers that you ignore it. Get involved in something and lose all track of time. But then time wants your attention back. Time can be like Prince's mother. Time is never satisfied. And that, my friend, is what it sounds like when the alarm clock cries.
Wow, thank you, Mark. That's really good. I can't wait for that workshop.
Neither can I. November 11th, right here on this Zoom channel.
Thank you for saying the date.
It's
I was like, I'm like scrolling through my memory. I'm like, what date did we say exactly? Was it the 11th or was it the 18th? But
the 11th.
That's what I thought it was. That's definitely what I thought it was 11/11, but I was like, no, that's too clever.
It's just clever enough for us, Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So I saw that my laptop was running out of charge there, so I scrambled quickly to grab my plug it back in. So it's plugged in now. All right, so here comes my poem. My poem is arguing with myself over sushi. Can you guys hear me okay? I switched to a different mic.
Yeah, we can hear you fine, Jeff, or I can hear you anyway.
Great, thanks. Standing in line for buffet sushi when an adult-looking version of my adolescent self emerges from the body of my current self, scornfully asking if I've lost myself, causing me to crumble my fish roe into a tray of tuna roll. I think about telling the unburdened version of myself a defeated man can bleed enough to change the world. Instead, I relay what I learned about love after a poorly crafted double date. Love lies at the intersection of science and art. When the integers and perspectives have been mapped, you may end up marrying the woman who is currently trying to bang your roommate. But if you keep your compass pointed north, there is reason to believe you can be more than the life the universe delivered you into. Considering your devotion to myth, I surmise philosophizing with you would be like the relationship between masturbating at Thomas Paine's funeral and a tree falling in the woods. If there's no one around to debate the metrics of morality, then who's gonna fucking say anything? Stricken with a sense of superiority, I assert the high ground, drawing a dick vacation land across the pimpled grill of my immaturity. Water skiing dicks cutting the wake, dick golfers fighting sand traps, volleyball dicks spiking the line. Consumed by the desire to outgrow the limits of my vocabulary, instant karma taking agency from some theoretical form of alien limb syndrome, still not having realized I'm using the same words, just holding a different flashlight. My younger self reverse directions, taking the marker from my now self, drawing havoc-causing dicks across the goofy man face of my maturity. Dick pilots bombing the intersections of my perfectly creased brow. Pirate dicks pillaging the astute fields of my engaging cheekbones. Dick ninjas descending the cracked lines of my auspicious nose. As my immature self retaliates, drawing dicks on my current self, the dick drawings appeared on my immaturity, the outward expression of my inner moral argument, layered with dead fish and avocado, intertwined in argument, finding common ground in the unsympathetic language of dick jokes, confident that even though heroes make better sandwiches than people, there is no way to tell the difference between buffet sushi and enlightenment without being willing to get covered in dick drawings and fish. Thank you. That one's arguing with myself over buffet sushi.
You know, that sounds like you had an aha moment, Jeff.
Boing!
Get it?
Aha. Now I do. When you said get it, then I was like, oh. All right, yeah, thanks everybody for coming to the Garage Poets. Is there anybody
sorry.
that's out there right now that would like to read that I missed? Or
Try. Me.
I'm sorry if I missed anybody's name in the chat. Sorry, Generalissimo, if I skipped over you.
I didn't know I was supposed to put my name in the chat. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right. I didn't say it. I wrote it in there, so I thought everybody saw it, but I should have
arrived.
just
I did
assumed that
arrive. I
everybody saw
arrived
it.
late. I arrived too little.
Are you ready to go? Do you
Oh.
want to go?
I'll read after Brian.
Oh, and Robert also go.
Robert was here before me, so let Robert go first, please.
All right, I tell you what, we'll have Michael Harris go first. Then we'll have Robert, and then we'll have Generalissimo.
Okay. Does that mean I'm up?
Yes, Michael.
All
you
right.
take the mic.
Well, thank you for having me. I will start with a little short introductory one, which is you got some questions. You're full of doubts. Your whispers are louder than shouts. So call me over. See what it's about. It's always better when we talk aloud. It's not often easy or often makes sense. Often get jealous of ignorance. Strive to improve and be your best. Must tear down your mental fence. Who is to say what future will come? So chase your dreams. We all deserve some. As long as pursue with all of your love, all things good and great will someday be done. So thank you. That is, I call that one doubts. And my next one is a little bit, I've been practicing another one, which is a little bit, I'm going to give the trigger warning is what I got to say, because it's a little bit personal, but it has some inspiration at the end. And I call this one Demons Done. So I grew up with pain and fear, hatred all of the time. Never was your problem. Easier to lie than to cry. Thank you so nice if smile and act polite. Threw your own sister out when came over with that black eye. What you think would happen when different you just shun? Did you ever think or care? Look what you demons done. Got to make that money. Got to extend your home. No time to think or help. Always left me alone. You laugh at racist jokes and jokes of women beaten. So superior you are. Standard life you're living. Busy with your prayers and your vacation fun. Always ran so far away. Look what you demons done. Time does not heal. Wounds just grow and fester. Just grows that anger against you scum who think you're better. Your enabler parties, burden or afterthought, ignorance and excuses, all you have ever got. Lotto of much simpler life, you had won. Wow, I survived. Look what you demons done. So that's my offerings. So thank you. I kind of new at performing, but I've been coming out pretty strong, doing some open mics and in person at some local cafes. And I have two podcasts, one of which is called Smoking Poetry Podcast, Smoking with No G, and I'll try to post this without hanging up accidentally here. And I got another different kind of podcast, so hope you will check that out. And thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate you coming by. And I definitely will check out that you said Smoking Poetry Podcast with No G. Excellent. Yeah.
No, he
Buttons
said
here.
he said toking poetry.
Well, that could be another version, but that's not the one I got.
So that's
They're
not the
they're-
one you're hosting.
They're cousins. I'll try to post this. I'm a little slow with the computer stuff, but I got two completely different kinds of podcasts, both of which on occasion talk about smoking and toking. So
Wait, what's the other one?
what in the law?
What in the law? Okay.
I'm a lawyer. And
Oh, awesome.
I'm a poet and a lawyer, the one and only.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'll be sure to check those out. Thank you for coming here. I believe this is your first time at the Garage Poets.
I believe so. Yeah, I did a couple similar groups with The Word Is Right, but yeah, I think it's my first time with Garage Poets. So this is great. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you for dropping by, and I hope you'll see you again. We're here every Friday night.
All right, awesome.
All right, so next up on the mic is Robert, and then Generalissimo is on deck.
Is the share screen available?
It should be.
It's not.
It's not. Oh, hang on 1 second. I don't remember. I didn't realize I changed anything. But hold 1 second.
Your audio is lagging with your photo, with your video, Jeff.
Oh, okay. Thank you for telling me. Hey, I made you the co-host, Robert, so that you should be able to do it now.
You're muted, Robert.
I'm muted. Okay, thank you. Can people see the graphic image?
Yep.
Okay, great. Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a word artist from Delaware. This is called Amphibian Con. The Delaware August pond is 6 inches evaporated. The sun sips and sips pond vodka, but does not we. As the sun lowers and the moon rises over, 1,000 green and brown dotted frogs hop out of ponds onto sidewalks. With no wish to squish, I hopscotch around slime backs without 1 to 10 chalk squares to jump through. An unasked pharaoh recites no plague. Frogs exodus the Nile every summer, still praying to witness an Egyptian plague. And this is a true experience. This past summer in my community in Delaware, hundreds of frogs, thousands of them, left the ponds and went onto the sidewalks. Greetings from Delaware. And the frogs are back in their ponds, thank God.
Do you not like frogs?
He only likes them when they're in their pond.
They do have delicious legs, though.
Everything has a place.
Ah,
Yes, a frog has to be in its place.
You know they sneak up on you. Thank you, Robert. Next up, we have Generalissimo.
Well, I want to tell Michael that when I was in college, I designed a newsletter for the Environmental Law Division of the American Bar Association for the state of Alabama. And I titled it the ENLAW, ENLAW. It's actually quite a clever, the way I designed it was pretty clever, but that was a really funny title. But anyway, I just thought you'd appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 poems that I wrote during Nick Paleologos's Right to the Mic this past Wednesday. My soul lives in a haunted house called the past. There are memories that are unwhole for various reasons. There are memories that have dissipated into atmosphere other people remind me of that I don't remember. I wonder if they were too inconsequential or too triggering. The answers rarely surface. Then there are memories that only exist in nightmares, never feeling quite real until I wake with my heart racing to escape my chest. Yet when it crosses the ribbon at the finish line, the ribbon is made of rubber that sends me flying back to where I started lying on my back, breathing myself back to sleep. And the second poem is also untitled. Although I want to say, we can call it When Hate Speaks. Once upon a time, there was a creature called hate. Hate looked unassuming and boring. Though hate was filled with piss and vinegar, it had no odor. Hate whispered ideas into strangers' ears and tattooed opinions into thoughts with ink composed of microscopic contagion, further spreading itself through words spoken and written. But hate must be taught, and hate can be overcome. People who spread hate are people who feel they must answer their own defeats with words to cause defeat amongst others. And as their hate multiplies, they never defeat their need to defeat because they thought they were fighting for a cause, but never had a cause to fight for in the first place. Their mirrors are manufacturers of masks that pile one on top of another till all the weight of all the masks and all the hate suffocates their ability to breathe. And though that person's hate dies with that person, it exists as tattoos and masks among acolytes who will need to overcome and defeat their hate before it suffocates their own existences. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate seeing you come by every week. Just about every week, anyways.
I know I've missed a few, Jeff, and I feel really guilty when I don't show up. So
that's all right. You know, I think about you when you don't show up, but you show up most of the time, so I appreciate that. And you always have some really excellent poetry. So that's. Is there anybody that I have missed that has not that would like to?
Oh my God, Shishi Ashkara, Ashraga. I can't.
CC Ashagra.
Arshagra, yes.
I think
Thank
it was
you.
like 1996 or something when the first time I met CC Ashagra.
It was a day or two ago. Absolutely.
Oh, you scared me. I thought you were having a stroke.
Who? Me?
General
Jeff, yeah.
Oh no, my tongue was twisting.
Suddenly you realize that you're like 25 years older. That'll do it. But it was all, yeah, it's the organs is all that gets old. We just get better. FYI. But those damn organs. Yeah, so you want me to go ahead? Am I on? This is it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jump in and jump on. Okay, thank you. Sorry I'm late. Family, home.
No, that's all right.
I'm glad I could jump in. All right. I do my best on Friday nights, but there's actually a lot of events coming up. And I'll put in the chat a couple of flyers. I have on the 30th of the end of the month, I have a book release, and there's a strong possibility I'm going to have the book. It's really down to the wire. 20-year anniversary of the open mic poems with 3 new essays in it called Reflections, and quotes on the back that I'm going to start crying if I list the names. I'm really lucky there. And after that, I'm going to do my poetry art band, Funk Physics. I don't know if you were at the 40th anniversary of Stone Soup, but I brought my poetry art band to that show when they were at the old Blockbuster Video Space. And Ken Fields and Blake Newman backed me and my 2 guys. That was an amazing video that's never been released. I was hoping to use it to raise money for Stone Soup back in the day, but it's just sitting in the archives. And then following that, my second ever art exhibit called Unmute Yourself. 4 paintings and 10 pastels in 2 rooms at a performance space art gallery in Middletown. All 3 from 7 to 9 for free. If anyone wants to come on down to Middletown, Connecticut on Route 9, let me know. I'll pop those flyers in. But all that aside, I got a manuscript that is filled with a bunch of 4-liners. And how much time do I have left? And I'll go. Give me an idea.
Well, we have the second round still to come, so why don't you give us one of them? and then we'll do the others in the second round.
They're only 4 lines. You like want a minute or two?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, okay. All right. Mirrors watering my mind, wash me through the end of time. Be the air my mind rests in, bring me to where peace begins. Rain on flames that burn my trees, my branching thoughts, my dreamings breeze, my waves of natural calm ideas that bloom and die through all lies real. Fear comes pushing love away, wanting hatred's reach for prey. Soul revenge turns pain to needs. There's no resolve in the predator's feed. Kingdoms, castles, dungeons, graves, survival only wins its ruins. Pleasure cannot capture home, nor hold love as possessions owned. When sleep wakes up, the monsters come. Fear's belief is on the run. For the victim's hostage you are not. War's endings are subconscious plots. And then there's one more I'll do. Growing goes to war with knowing. Wasting time steals both clocks' hands. Souls pretend to wear a mask as if life without one can't face death. I'll go on that up note.
Sounds like a brilliant way to end the first round. Unless unless Marissa wants to read. Marissa, do you have something you want to end us off with? Maybe she can't get to the mic right now. All right, so we'll call that the end of the first round. And then so I'm going to stop the stream. And then what we have, the You Had to Be There round of the Garage Poets open mic, which will be off